Now, I've got to admit, readjusting to the feel of Assetto Corsa Competizione has been a bit of a struggle today after spending so much time in other sims recently. So I've surprised even myself when I managed a lap time of 1:45 flat to qualify P6 here at the Hungaroring on Low Fuel Motorsport. Now, it's a single split this one, so I'm up against some ultra quick ACC drivers, and my number 15 plate suggests I've massively overperformed so far. But while my hot lap pace is decent enough, coping with the pressure in the heat of battle is a far tougher challenge, and in this one things are going to get very fierce very quickly. Here we go then, starting from the outside of the third row alongside Andreas Grund in the McLaren. I certainly wasn't expecting to be this far up the grid. Whether I'll still be this far up at the end of the first lap remains to be seen. As they're coming together already in turn one, thankfully I've got the wider line to get around it, but I take a big elbow from Tom Yer, the pole position driver. Yer may very well have been involved in that collision. We lost Wouter Huisman in the Porsche. Those two drivers were occupying the front row, so I've got past both of them. But I'm going to have a battle on my hands to try and keep in front of Yer. He's on my inside coming through turn 3. I have to leave him space. At the same time, I stay flat out. I did pick up an off track there, but at the moment, I'm holding off the pole sitter. However, I don't think it's worth risking my neck trying to defend against him. His qualifying time was a 1:43.4. That's more than 1.5 seconds quicker than what I managed. Well, watch the rearview mirror, that white Mustang coming in really close into the chicane. That's routed me a little bit and I catch the curb, exiting the corner. That mistake has immediately put me under pressure. You're alongside me now. He's going to have the inside for this right-hander. I've got to leave him space again, and that opens me up for a further attack. It's the orange McLaren now of Stefan Giuliani. There's contact with Giuliani and I end up in the barrier. Well, as soon as I made that mistake exiting the chicane, I was offline, I was in a mess, and it has ended in disaster. There's no way of rejoining safely here. I've got to wait until the entire pack has come through before I get back on track. I'm down in P22. Well, we'll analyse that incident shortly, but first, let's watch the coming together of the two front row drivers in turn 1. And it's actually the Lamborghini on the outside, David Lozio, turning in on Huisman's Porsche that caused it. And there's the nudge as Yer and I compete for the same part of the track. And here's where it all went wrong, and it's completely my fault too. I was rattled as the Mustang closed in, entering the chicane. Then I clipped the curb, exiting it. Now this immediately ruined my rhythm and took me offline. The Mustang's on my inside now. I've got to leave him space, and before I can get back on the racing line, the orange McLaren is already there. Now I'm trying to stay tighter, but I just can't hug the curb on the inside. I drifted to the path of Giuliani in the McLaren. We rub doors, and the contact is enough to send me into the barrier. So yeah, totally on me this one. I've got nobody to blame but myself here. As soon as I made that mistake exiting the chicane, I've put myself under unnecessary pressure. I've invited Yer alongside me. He's going to make the move up the inside. That, of course, leaves a gaping hole for Giuliani in the McLaren. Now, Giuliani's only got a nose alongside me, but it's enough to stop me opening up the next corner. And from there, my momentum carries me into the middle of the track. That's where Giuliani already is and is fully entitled to be. And of course there's nowhere for me to go but into the barrier. So what can I do from here? Lap 2, P22, and very little time to make amends for my error. These GT3 Sprints on Low Fuel Motorsport have been shortened in distance for the new season. They're no longer 25 minutes. We've only got 15 minutes on track. So that means we're already approaching 1/3 race distance. I can't hang about here, but also I can't make any more mistakes, and I very nearly make one then. Just got a little bit caught out by the corner speed of Manu Garza. Garza's let me past, actually. I wonder if he might be carrying damage from the first lap incident. So that's one position picked up. I've now switched on the TV cam to watch the battle for P13 because Jorge Xavier has just been nudged out by the BMW of Augusto Decant. Well, will Xavier get back on track before I come around? The bright green Lamborghini of Joe Van Schuten in front of me, he's got past, but I'm just not able to. However, it has got me closer to a couple of cars in front, so I've at least got a target to chase now. Van Schuten in P19, just 1.2 seconds ahead. That gap is going to come down now, though, because Van Schuten has overcooked the corner. The TV cam is back on. We're watching the battle for P16. Nando Anderson running into the back of Wouter Huisman. So Anderson has left the circuit. He's pitted, so that will be another position gain. And it could yet be 2 positions because I'm putting Van Schuten under pressure now, although I am on the outside coming around around the final turn. I just get nudged out a little wider than I would have liked, so I'm going to tuck back in behind the Lamborghini. Can I size up and move up the inside into turn 1? Well, I don't think I'm quite close enough. It'll be a dive bomb if I did attempt it, so I'm just going to back out. Well, I'm certainly putting Van Schooten under pressure. Will he crack under that pressure? That remains to be seen. Yeah, lap 3 now. We are officially at 1/3 race distance. These 15-minute sprints will absolutely fly by. And the yellow flag came out momentarily there. It's now been replaced by a white flag, which means a slower driver ahead. It looks like it's the black McLaren of Javier Obregon. Meanwhile, look how much faster I am than Van Schooten, but Van Schooten's not going to let me have a sniff up the inside. He takes the defensive line into turn 4. He's got himself into a bit of a mess though. Just getting a little bit unsettled on that inside curve through turn 4. That's given me the opportunity to go wide around the outside. Now I'm carrying more momentum here. I should be able to get the pass done, and I have done, up into P19. So yeah, the pressure paid off there. I was breathing down the neck of Van Schooten for the best part of half a lap. And much like me on the opening lap, Van Schooten has forced himself into a bit of a corner here. He's offline, he's unsettled, he's under pressure, and he loses the position. Slightly unorthodox overtake in the end, but this turn 5 is wide and it is sweeping. You can carry a lot of momentum around the outside, and that's what helped me make the overtake and snatch that P19. Right, let's go back to the live action. We're jumping forward now to the end of lap 4. Fast approaching half race distance, and I find myself more than 2 seconds behind Javier Obregon ahead of me in P18. As we come into the last corner, the white flags are out. Have we lost someone down the start-finish straight? It looks like we have. A little bit further ahead, Lee Kidd parked up in the middle of the track, so something has happened to Kidd there. And it was contact with Wouter Huisman that did it. That Porsche behind just clipping the rear of the Ford Mustang. Kidd is out of control at this point, and he takes not 1 but 2 huge hits. Well, I said that time would go quickly during these 15-minute sprints, and that is exactly what's happening. We've got just 4 minutes left on the clock. I am closing in on this 4-way battle for P14 though. As soon as I crashed out of that 4th position on the opening lap, I immediately reassessed my goals. I wanted to try and get into the top 15. A 15th position would at least match my ranking in the race. And I've certainly got within touching distance now. Obregon in front of me is looking all out of shape. So there may be an opportunity to get past him sooner rather than later. Then I really will be within touching distance of that P15. Well, for now we're approaching the end of lap 6 through this final turn. Can I get onto the tail of that black McLaren in front of me? Can I put Javier Obregon under even more pressure than he's already under? Because he certainly looks like he's got a mistake in him. And I've got the run here, but Obregon is going to defend into T1, so I'll just apply a bit more pressure around the outside, and he's completely outbraked himself. He runs into the back of Riva Ratsimmer in front of him. Ratsimmer was really lucky to survive that actually. So that's me up into P17, but let's not forget about Obregon just yet. Look in the rearview mirror, he's going to come in really hot into turn 2 and gives me a big hit. So that's 2 drivers in successive corners that Obregon has run into the back of. That's a little bit worrying actually. I think I want to get in front of Ratsimmer as quickly as I possibly can, just to create a bit of a buffer. But getting past him will be easier said than done. Meanwhile, just in front of Ratsimmer, it looks like Xavier has opened up a little bit of a gap, and he is now onto the rear of the Ferrari of David Gross. And in fact, it looks like he's got past Gross. So Xavier is up into P14, Gross down to P15, and I take another nudge from behind. Obregon once again getting too close for comfort. Oh, this is starting to stress me out now. We're approaching the final stages of the race, and the gloves are coming off. It is starting to get fierce out here. The top 15 is less than 1 second away. It's within touching distance, but I think it's a case of so near yet so far, because at the moment I am locked in the middle of a 5-way battle. Hard onto the brakes into turn 12. Obregon incoming. I have to abort the corner as I saw the McLaren flying in. Obregon later on the brakes. He was brave into that corner, and he has regained that P17. Well, this is what happened at the start of the lap. He braked too late there. And that causes him to run into the back of Ratsimmer. Now, of course, after that, he ran into the back of me, not once, but twice on this lap, and that left me a little bit on edge. So when I saw him sizing up that move into turn 12 in the rearview mirror, I thought it was best just to get out the way. I didn't want more contact. I didn't want to spin out for a second time in this race. So I'm back down to P18, but check out the leaderboard, bottom left of the screen, a drive-through penalty handed to David Gross, so he will have to go into pit lane before the end of this race. That will be at least one position gained. In front, it looks like Obregon is sizing up the same move now on Ratsima. This could be an opportunity for me. If he opens up a gap, I could dive up the inside too, and that's exactly what I've tried. I knew from experience that Ratsima would have to abort the corner. That would leave a gaping hole, and I've taken full advantage. So I'm up into P17, that'll surely become P16 because Gross is entering pit lane to serve that drive-through penalty. We're going to have 1 lap left. This is going to be a straight shootout for the top 15. Currently it's Obregon holding that P15, but I am less than a second behind. I've passed him once. Can I do it again on this last lap? Well, unfortunately, I'm not as close as I was before, so I'm not able to apply the pressure going into the corner. I do close in mid-corner, but I might have been a little bit hot there. That's going to cost me some speed exiting the corner. So yeah, Obregon has opened up a few tenths. 0.5 of a second is the gap. For the second corner in a row, I close right in, but once again, I'm a little bit too hot running into the corner. That is going to cost me exit speed. That is going to give Obregon the advantage. So I think I just need to settle down a little bit here. I'm not going to get any closer by slinging it into corners. I need to regain my rhythm. Well, I was much smoother through turn 4. If I can take turn 5 equally as smoothly, I'll be right on the back of the McLaren. And sure enough, I'm closing in. Drive-through penalty for the number 12 driver. That's Augusto Decans in P10. That'll be another position gain. So that should put me into the top 15, but it could get better because Obregon's made a mistake. But quickly pounce up the inside. That, of course, puts me on the outside for this corner, and I've lost it. Oh, thankfully, there's contact with Obregon, though. That was so fortunate. I had lost control of the car there, but the contact got me back facing in the right direction. I've lost an extra position to Ratsima, but I may be in the position to fight right back here. This is for the top 15. Ratsima currently occupying it, but I'm going to launch it up the inside and make the pass stick with just a couple of corners to go. Well, I have rescued a top 15 finish here at the death. Just when I thought I'd thrown it all away, I managed to get the position back. Of course, I'm P16 on track, but we now know that will become P15 when I cross the line due to that drive-through penalty for Augusto Decans. Wow, what a frantic finale to this race. It was rough, it was rowdy, and it turned into a bit of a dogfight, but I have managed to get that 15th position. Here was the moment when it all started to kick off. Obregon makes the mistake out of the chicane, clipping the gravel. That gives me the opportunity to dive up the inside, but at this point, I have lost the car. Look at that rear step out, and Obregon did me a huge favour there. The contact got me back facing in the right direction. Then I make the move to immediately regain the position that I'd lost to Ratsima. So yeah, obviously this result has got to go down as a failure, having started in P6 and then worked my way up into P4. But you know what? It doesn't feel like a failure. It was great fun out there. You certainly needed to be up for a scrap in this one. At the start of the race, perhaps I wasn't up for it, but come the end, yeah, I fancied a little bit. It's safe to say the safety rating suffered as a result, but I'm not worried about that because this was fantastic fun. If you've enjoyed watching and you want to see more ACC LFM action, check out the video on screen now. It's one of my finest ever comebacks and one of my favourite races. I hope you enjoy watching it, and as always, thank you ever so much for tuning in.